This conference will now be recorded.
Right here, so if two people vote in affirmative and one votes no, that does not pass. That's your choice if you want to wait or. Oh, okay, that is your choice.
Turn your mics on.
Oh,
Chuck.
Thank you. So we'll just have you come up, put your name into the record there, and then
Leanne's getting them a mic, I believe.
the way we normally do it is we have you read your application into the record and then kind of just give an overview of what's going on and then go from there.
Okay.
So it's kind of cumbersome, but just have you read your application in the record when she brings it up to you.
You want me to just read the whole thing?
Yeah, it's cumbersome. I
I mean,
apologize. But
start at the question.
if you could just start at section 1, the application. So what variance you're trying to get or what your section you're trying to get a variance from, and then the 5 criteria supporting it.
Okay. A variance is requested from Article 2, Section Structure Accessory of the zoning ordinance to permit. Facts supporting this request. 1, granting this variance would not be contrary to the public interest because it's personal storage and there's a storage facility directly across the street from me. Number 2, if the variance were granted and the spirit of the ordinance would be observed because there's already a structure there with power and a meter, so I don't feel this would be accessory. Granting the variance would do substantial justice because it would allow substantial upgrading to the property, both in value and usability. Or if the variance were granted, the values of the surrounding properties would not be diminished because this is a storage garage will only increase the surrounding properties by making it more valuable and putting it in use and being maintained. 5, unnecessary hardship. A, owing to a special condition of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship because I, no fair and substantial relationship exists between general public purposes of the ordinance provision and the specific application of the provision to that the property because it's a commercial property that I'm trying to make usable. And 2, the proposed use is a reasonable one because it's a storage garage. There's already a primary structure with power and a meter, although it's unrecognized. B, explain how, if criteria is subparagraph A are not established, an unnecessary hardship will be deemed to exist if and only if, owing to special conditions of the property, distinguish it from other properties in the area, the property cannot be reasonably used in strict conformance with the ordinance, and variance is therefore necessary to enable a reasonable use of it. It will allow the property to be used and maintained. I also have already poured the pad and custom order a garage, both of which I've already paid just under $20,000 and it's non-refundable.
So just help me so I don't fully understand. So you have a building there already, but the planning board doesn't see it as a building?
I have no idea. I mean, I originally, when I was doing this, I went to the planning board and we thought everything was going to be okay. And then there was this one guy there who said that this was a zoning board issue, not a planning board. And the planning board granted me a conditional approval based off of what you guys said. Literally, all I'm trying to do is put a prefab shed from the Home Depot in Tilton right there. If you notice the property, like I have my boat literally stored there. I want to put my boat in the garage. I have 2 jet skis. I don't have a garage at my house. I own that property and the car dealership right next door. And I literally just store my stuff there.
What's the structure that already exists?
There's another building there. Like, this is why I didn't understand what was going on, because at planning, they said they didn't recognize that structure, but it's been there 20 years. And the big part about it is there's an electric meter from Eversource on the side of the building, like ran from its own pole. So like, in my opinion, that is a primary structure, and this is an accessory building. I mean, it's small, but there's power in there, like it's an office. That property throughout the course of its history has been used as a barbecue restaurant. They were running like a logging company out of there. There was a limo company there. Also, like, I haven't got into it, but I'm under the assumption that at one point in time, the zoning board approved both properties to be combined, and that actually to be used as accessory to the car dealership.
Is this, Leanne, is the property, the building that's on there, is that on that tax record? Is that like a?
It is, but the property, that building is more of another shell or shed type building from my understanding. There's no water and sewer, I don't believe, on the property, and there's no use for the property. So the ordinance does define, and we bumped up against this, I think, once before at zoning, that a shed is an accessory structure, and so define that it is subordinate to a primary structure. So then we would have to identify that barbecue. I mean, since I've been here, there's been no use over there, and there's no water and sewer. And so just to have a shed, kind of like we had a similar applicant looking for a shed before on a property with no use and water. So this is coming to you because the definition in the ordinance of shed is subordinate to a primary structure. So the question is, well, whether we recognize that primary structure as a primary structure, and 2, there are no utilities either there for it to be a primary structure. But the applicant is correct that the planning board did approve it if the zoning board approves the shed as an accessory structure.
Okay. But pardon my ignorance here. What is the town's definition between it? Like, if he built this with 2x4s and it wasn't a delivered shed, is that not considered a shed? Or
It is a shed.
That is a shed. Okay.
It is a
So
shed.
the size of it makes it a shed.
It is. He's asking for a shed.
Yeah.
The barbecue place, I don't know what that really is. That's been there a long time as kind of I think of more of a kind of shed or shell, I think. I don't know what it has in there. I've never been in there.
I don't think it's been used since it was the little barbecue restaurant.
I make a comment?
Yeah. Sorry. Didn't mean to hog the.
Okay, in our handbook on page 39, although that's kind of irrelevant to page number, section 10.5.2, all dwelling units and commercial, public, or industrial buildings shall be connected to a sewerage disposal system. When a public system is not on a private sewer, then a private sewer is required. Portable toilets, commonly known as porta potties or outhouses, shall not be acceptable. I do know that there is some history in the town of denying someone not too far away from this particular site from putting in a structure unless they had both water and sewer. And I believe that the facility across the street, which is the new U-Haul facility, because the sewer doesn't run down the main road, is connected to their own septic system. I am aware that there is a well on this particular property as well as electricity, but there is absolutely no connection right now to any kind of way for any water to be treated should the water be used. In my estimation, I am not sure that this qualifies to be considered a primary structure. And if it's not a primary structure, then under our particular code, then this particular one would probably not be permitted. I'm just trying to follow the letter of the law here as far as the code goes.
Are you aware of the property right next door to the U-Haul?
Well, before,
That's pretty much the same exact thing I have, and they don't have a bathroom in there whatsoever at all. It's for rent right now. I went in there the other day and toured it. So there's literally another property directly across the street with the same exact thing that I have. That the place that sells like the where they chop down all the land behind. I don't know what they're building back there, but they sell the loam and the rocks and all that type of stuff right there. The land.
there is a landscape place that did operate a business out of
They
there.
100% do not have a bathroom.
You said this lot is connected to the auto lot?
I'm aware. I spoke to one of my buddies who's familiar with this property. I just purchased it in March. So like I spoke to one of my buddies, I bought it from his brother. He's pretty like in depth with real estate and he helped them do everything. And he actually sent it to me. There is an approved plan to conjoin both of the two lots to both be used as a car dealership on file. I can get it over to you guys, but I think what happened is the people got it approved and then never actually acted on it. So like it was approved, but it wasn't actually used. But literally all I'm trying to do is put up a storage shed. I never would even be here. There was a miscommunication with the permitting. So like I literally thought I was green lighted, poured a slab and like paid for the shed and I can't get my money back. Like I'm there. To me, it's like, it's crazy that I'm getting this much pushback to put a storage shed directly across the street from a storage unit facility. Like I understand we may not have sewer there, but there's not going to be anybody going to the bathroom there. There's not going to be the well that we have literally doesn't even come into the building. It comes out of a spigot in the ground.
Sure, I totally appreciate what you're saying. Part of our problem is that what your intents to use it are awesome, and that's great. But when we pass a variance, it doesn't go away when you no longer own that property. That variance stays with the property. So sure, totally, you intend to never use it that way. But if in 3 months you decide to sell it, someone else may not use it that way. And so we just have to, as we move through this stuff, guard against, what's happening now and what could happen further down the road. That's all.
Right.
And you said you own the car dealership property? And it's abutting?
Buddy. Yep. And I know, like, I don't have it on me. I didn't think this was not to like take away from the importance of all these laws and stuff. I didn't think that this was going to be a huge, I didn't bring it with me, but I 100% have an approved zoning plan. It's old and it was never acted on, but I know it was voted in. And I mean, if that's the way I have to do it, like I'm in a spot right now, this company won't drop the shed without a building permit. I need an approval. They stop working in October. Like it's already paid in full. My slab's already there. Like,
Would you be objection to joining the two lots together?
I would love that. Yeah, if we could do that, I would absolutely love that.
Then you'd be just putting
I have a bathroom in my car dealership. You know what I mean? I have all that there.
Well, it makes it all of this a moot point.
Yeah.
At that point.
at that point.
Yeah, I would love that. I didn't think you guys would go for that. To me, that just boosts the value of my property even more over there.
I mean, I guess I don't know the answer to. Leanne may have more insight on this, whether that plan is still valid. I don't know whether the variance expired. I don't know the details of.
Yeah, we'd have to look at the plan, and certainly, like you said, Matt, if he wanted to merge those two lots and he has an approved plan, if he doesn't have an approved plan, he can put forward a plan to merge the lots if he owns them both, if he wants to go that path. And yeah, then his shed would be subordinate to the main building. We wouldn't have the issue. But Mr. Mitchell is right about, the use and no sewer and water ordinance. And this is why he's here, is because it's a shed subordinate to nothing. So as we've done before with no water and sewer. So,
Sure.
But we can check that plan and yeah, he certainly can merge it if the planning board, if there's a planning board approval, we'll check the date.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
I think I can pull it up right now. If you give me 1 second.
I guess
I
for me
guess at
here-
this point, if you're going to merge the lots, that's something you'd have to do through the town anyway.
Well, I was
And
gonna say,
would
we
suggest-
can't give him a variance if
No.
it's going to make the variance not a thing, if that makes sense.
Not required.
I'm just in such a jam. I'm working on like 5 weeks to get this dropped. They're like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I totally appreciate
They stop working. Like,
your situation there. I mean, I kind of don't know how to go forward because he has a solution here and he doesn't need our variance. Not like we could pass the variance on the contingency that he merges the lot, because then the variance is a moot point.
Like
So-
you said, he does have a solution here.
Yeah.
Because if you vote and deny, then it's denied, and then he would have to merge them. His options are to let you go forward and make a decision and maybe approve it, or he can withdraw without prejudice, investigate the merger, and if there really is no merger, or he can't merge them for whatever reason, because you don't have all that information right now, he could still come back because you allowed him to withdraw without prejudice. So I guess that's up to the board and the applicant how they want to proceed.
Yeah, and the only other comment I have is that if there's a question right now and you own that lot next door, and you've already paid for this building that they won't drop on the site, have them drop it on your car dealership site.
triple that every month.
I don't know that. I'm just saying, I mean, I
So
understand.
it's up to you whether you want to rescind your application right now and come back after you sort that out, or you want to put this forward to a vote. And I can't
It doesn't
push you
hurt
one way or
me
the
if
other.
I mean, it's clear that I'm going to get voted to be denied. So does that like hurt me?
To rescind it and come back?
Yeah.
No, that doesn't. That changes nothing. You just are in the same spot you were.
Oh, okay.
And you may not have to come back if you.
If you merge your lots, you don't have to ever see us again.
And so otherwise, basically what you guys are saying is unless I put a septic in there, then I could never even do anything with that property unless I
believe-
merge them. Basically, if I can't get a storage shed, I literally can't do anything there without a septic.
You can't build any accessory structures.
What happens if I got rid of the well, capped off the well? Then would I need a septic if I didn't have running water?
You are asking the wrong person. You do go to the land use office and they could guide you.
Any use, as I think Chuck did read that ordinance, that you need water and sewer to have any building or,
So I guess
Yeah.
I gotta rescind it because there's nothing I can.
That leaves you with the most options.
Yeah.
That choice.
Okay. I guess that.
Okay. I don't think we have to vote on that.
no, you don't have to vote it, but just make it public that
Yeah, all right.
that
The
you
applicant's-
accept the withdrawal without prejudice. And
Everybody on board? You're okay with
Yep.
that? Sounds good. Thank you for coming in.
Sorry.
No apologies. All right, I lost my agenda. Here it is. All right, case 23-16, Stephanie and John. I'm not gonna butcher this. So I'll give you the same disclosure up front. There's only 3 members of a 5-person board here tonight. All 3 people have to vote affirmative of whatever your variance is in order for it to pass. You're more than welcome to come back another night if you'd rather come when there's a full board or more members here. Okay. So same process, if you guys could just read your application into the record and actually read your names into the record too, into the mic there.
Stephanie and John Scholastico, 46 Hill Road. So facts supporting our request, we're requesting, so granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest because the lot was divided in the 1970s prior to when the zoning ordinance was established for a minimum lot size of 1 acre. So we're asking for 4 different variances. The first one is regarding the minimum lot size of 1 acre. The second one is the minimum roadside frontage of 150 feet. And this third and fourth one are the side setbacks. The second, so number 2 is the lot was divided in the 1970s prior to when the zoning ordinance was established for a minimum of 150 feet of road frontage. Granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest because the property use setback variances for the new attached garage and the deck stairs would be constructed with the new house. It would not affect the public. Granting these variances, reducing the right side setback to 7 7.7 feet and the left side to 18.4 feet would not threaten the health, safety, or the welfare of the public. If the variance was granted, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed because, one, if the variance of the grant were granted, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed because the new structure would still be a single-family home on the same acreage as the current home resides on and would not alter the structure of the neighborhood. And the second one, if the variance was granted, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed because the new structure would still be a single-family home on the same roadside frontage as the current home resides on. It would not alter the structure of the neighborhood. Third, if the variance was granted in the spirit of the ordinance would be observed because the purpose of the ordinance is to promote health, safety, and general well-being. The garage would be built on the property attached to the new home. The new home structure is comparable to the existing one, except for the garage would be moved to the side to allow for a line of sight to the street and better curb appeal. This variance for the side setbacks would not introduce hazards and would not result in being contrary to public interest, but it would add a safety element for us. Moving the garage away from the front of the house creates a line of sight to the street, allowing us to be aware of vehicles and or people accessing the property. The deck would be constructed with 2 staircases, allowing exits to be on both sides of the deck. This would not affect the health, safety, or general welfare, nor will it add to the congestion or dangers to the neighborhood. Granting the variance would be substantial justice because, one, granting the variance would be substantial justice because the new construction would continue to use the property the same ways we have for the past 23 years. Not allowing the variance to build on less than 1 acre would prevent us from changing any aspect of the current structure or moving forward with plans to build our forever home. Granting the variance would do substantial justice because the new construction would allow us to continue to use the property the same way we have for the past 23 years. Not allowing for the variance to build on the property with less than 150 feet of frontage would prevent us from moving forward with our plans to build our forever home. Granting the variance would do substantial justice because the new construction and position of the garage would be able to have a clear view of the site, ensuring that the safety and the position of the decks would allow us for access from both sides of the deck, but most of all would allow us to retire in our forever home on Lake Winnisquam. We understand that the setbacks exist to prevent overcrowding with structures abutting too close, but denying the variance for the 2 side setbacks would prevent the construction of the designed home. The variance for the deck platform and the stairs provides access to the yard from the deck, and the construction of the 3-bay garage would allow us to garage 2 automobiles and the boat, keeping it out of the elements of the New England winter. 4, if the variance were granted, the values of the surrounding properties would not be diminished because granting the variance to build on the existing lot size of less than 1 acre would not diminish the surrounding properties because it would not introduce any change to the property size. 2, granting the variance to build on the existing lot with less than 150 feet of frontage would not diminish the surrounding properties because it would not change the current frontage. 3, the surrounding properties would not be diminished because allowing for the construction of the house with the garage and the deck would result in a higher valued home. The new home would be professionally constructed, adding more up-to-date features and functionality, but staying true to the current appearance, adding property value to the neighborhood. 5, an unnecessary hardship. Owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship because, 1, special conditions exist because the property is located on the shores of Lake Winnisquam. These lots are generally smaller than non-shoreline properties, resulting in a lot size of less than 1 acre. 2, the property's use is reasonable on 1, because the current structure was built prior to the zoning ordinance for a minimum lot size of 1 acre. Was established. Not approving the variance would result in a hardship to us because it would prevent us from moving forward with the dream of building our forever home on Lake Winnisquam without encroaching the ordinances set forth by the town of Tilton. 2, owing to the special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in an unnecessary hardship because Special conditions exist because the property is located on the shores of Lake Winnisquam. These lots are generally smaller than other non-shore properties, resulting in less than 150 feet of frontage. The proposed use is a reasonable one because the current structure was built prior to the zoning ordinance of the minimum 150 feet of frontage was established. Not approving the variance would result in hardship to us because it would prevent us from moving forward with our dream of building the forever home on Lake Winnisquam without encroaching on the ordinance set forth by the town of Tilton. 3, owing to the special condition of the property that distinguishes it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship because special conditions exist because the property is located on the shore of Lake Winnisquam. These lots are generally smaller than other shoreline properties, resulting in less area to expand. We are only encroaching into our side setbacks and will not affect general use. The proposed use is reasonable because we are only asking for variance to the side setbacks to add some functionality to our home to better our standard of living. The division of the lot back in the 1970s reduced the size of the lot, limiting the room for growth without encroaching on the setback ordinances set forth by the town of Tilton. Not approving the variance would result in a hardship to us because we would have no other option for the placement of the garage other than to relocate it back in front of the house, blocking the street view, jeopardizing the safety. The other option would be to sell or move to another location because remaining in the deteriorating house is not an option. We need more space for our family when we retire, and we do not want to move since we've made lifelong friends in the neighborhood. One sitting behind us.
Thank you for reading that. Appreciate that.
That was a lot. So just a little backstory. So we have gone to the state and gotten our shoreland permit. When we started working with an architect, we realized that we had to adjust the position of the garage. So we have to file an abatement, but we have to get the variance. We want to make sure that we have the variance before we file the abatement, because every time we file an abatement, it costs us more money. So it was a catch-22. So we were coming to ask for the variance so we could proceed with the architect and then apply for the abatement.
What's the abatement?
It's because of when we first sent in the plan, the garage we literally moved the garage 4 feet, but we had to do all the calculations over again for the pervious driveway and all of the other landscaping.
Okay.
But we shifted the angle and added the 4 feet of the garage, so the lolly column wouldn't be where my car was.
What is the house? I'm trying to figure out which lot this is.
30.
4A. What is the house that sits on it now? How does this, is this the same square footage?
It's going to be a little bit bigger. It's a 1928 New Englander,
Okay.
sitting on a rock and tree foundation.
Sorry, I'm just looking up the lot here.
So are the setbacks okay for the house? It's the setbacks issue is with the garage, or is it both?
The garage and the deck. So the house will remain on the same footprint because we have to stay between the pump out and the well. So we couldn't really expand sideways.
I'm familiar with that area, and I did take a ride down and take a look at your property. And I do realize what's on Hill Avenue and all the different structures up and down the street with the lot sizes and how small the lots are. Matter of fact, I happen to know an individual who lives on Hill Street.
Oh.
Mr. Boulder? No, just up the road from you.
You know them? Yeah.
32A. Okay, so you're like right across the end of Hill Road here.
Yes, right at the corner.
Yeah, we have these, we see these cases a lot on the waterfront.
Mm-hmm.
So if you didn't build a 3-bay garage here, if you built a 2-bay garage, are you still into the setbacks of, there's just so much tree cover, I can't see how your house sits here. Are you still into the setbacks? I know that's a hard question to answer
We
without.
would. I believe we would, just not as much. Because the garage also has to be angled in order for us to get into the garage because we're on that corner of the street.
Yeah, it looks like one corner of the garage is 17 feet, if I'm reading it right.
Yeah, well, so this is 23 to this corner here.
Yes.
And then it's 7, I think.
Yes.
So a little more than 7.
Oh, 7?
Yeah.
7.7 maybe?
It's like-
Yes, 7.7.
Okay.
I'm not doing this to scale.
Yeah.
It's like this.
Yep,
This
yep.
is the setback here. Are there any abutters here? Any public input from the abutters? You want to go for that? Mike. Oh, I always forget. You should just move the mic over to the corner for him. You just got to speak it into the mic so it's in the record.
Randy Hancock. I represent Needles LLC, which is the owner of 42 Hill Road, so one of the abutters. And if this is the same plan that was at the town last year when you submitted for the shoreline
Yes.
requirements.
The exception of the garage being.
Right. Then I just want to say that I have no objections to any of the variances that they're looking for. We'd be perfectly happy with accepting the way it's been presented.
Thank you.
And you're on the opposite side of the garage.
Yes.
Yep.
He'd be on the deck.
Mm-hmm. The deck variance.
And not on the garage, yeah.
Malcolm Flanders. I'm at 50 Hill Road, and the garage would be the variance to my property, 7.5 feet versus, I guess it's supposed to be 20. No, we're fine with that.
Okay, no objections to that.
No, it's in the back of the yard, back of my house. Plus, I only got 0.23 acres, so you're talking about acreage.
We're a happy family.
Yeah, but no, I don't see any problem with it at all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And is it a single-story house that you're building?
Two-story house.
2-story, and what's sitting there now?
A two-story with a
a
walk-up
walk-up
attic. So it's actually going to be usable basement and then 2 stories. So instead of having the walk-up attic, it's going to have like the 3rd story, which is kind of shifting floors around.
Okay. How much bigger is the footprint of the house compared to what was there? Oh, off the top of your head, it's not.
It is a little bigger, but not.
I don't have that information.
Okay, and you said you'd been to DES and they all good with all the impervious surfaces and.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we went to engineering firm.
Waiting to refile.
Refile once we get through this.
We're like, so.
The final elevation of the house is going to be possibly lower than what's there now because you're not going to have,
No,
it's going to be,
it's going.
No,
Been doing this for so
with the
long.
elevation? No, so
the height,
The
the
total
height,
height.
oh, no, we're within, max for, commercial,
For residential.
for resort commercial, it was
commercials,
30 feet, I believe.
No, 40 feet.
40 feet.
40, but I didn't know what your
It's
current,
39.
what's the current house that's there?
That, yeah.
Are you going higher than? what the
Higher
current
than
house
your
is?
current house?
Slightly, yes.
Probably would be if they were putting in a walk-in basement.
Well, I'm trying
And
to
then
understand
2
is
stories,
that it exists as an attic,
Attic.
and you're eliminating the attic and adding a
Yeah,
walk-in.
so we're shifting, so from the street side, we'll probably have to walk up in order to walk out of the lower level.
Okay, like on a side elevation.
Correct.
However, we're just not certain how deep we can go. Goal would be to have a walkout basement and at a
Walkout,
first
lower
floor.
level.
And the elevation of the current house, the front of it's up high with like 5 stairs heading towards the water. So right there, like I said, I just don't know how deep we can go.
Matt, I just have one comment, if I could, on the
Yeah.
variance. On the last variance, they're looking for the variance on the house for the stairs. Is that correct? On the
Porch.
on the porch, right? So if it's just the stairs that are in the setback, is that correct? It's only the stairs?
Yes.
Yeah, so that they don't, it's not required, it's not part of the setback.
It had a foundation, so we just didn't know if that was.
Oh, okay,
Because
so,
the platform that it has to land on, so it was part of the foundation.
okay, I wasn't sure how the stairs were, just for the record, if the stairs, if it's an egress, is exempt from setbacks. If they are to code, they're nothing larger than what a code would require for stairs or an egress. So, just so you know
you're
that.
saying they don't need the variance for the stairs on the, I guess what would
If
be
the stairs are not, you can't build elaborate 30-foot stairs walking down, then that would be encroaching. But if they're normal to code stairs for egress, then they're not part of the setback. It reads, structures which provide only a safe means of egress or ingress, such as handicap ramps, fire escape stairs, may be exempt from property line setback requirements, provided the structure does not exceed the minimum requirement prescribed by the applicable codes adopted by the town, which if they're just standard egress stairs, they do not. But I let it come forward just because I wasn't sure how large the stairs were going to be, or
Okay,
if the-
thank you.
if a board wanted to rule.
Are these just like a 3-foot wide stair?
Yeah, they're
That's what it looks like.
Yeah,
regular
from the
side
front.
stairs.
Any other public comment? No? You have any questions for them?
No, I've asked.
You guys good if we close it and deliberate? Yeah, all right. We'll close public comment and deliberate as a board. Want to go variance by variance and talk about it as opposed to the whole there? Probably the easier way. We run into this lot size one on the lake all the time. I think it absolutely fits with the neighborhood that's around it. I don't have any.
I don't have any objections to that. Neighbors don't have any.
I'm supportive of the whole project.
Yep.
Okay. I just want everybody to have a chance to say it. The road frontage, again, consider for the neighborhood.
Yep.
And as far as the setbacks, I always think it's better to allow these variances that kind of encroach on the setbacks than houses that go up along the lake. When they build higher and higher, I'm always in favor of seeing them get a skosh wider into the setbacks, especially if there's no butters. All righty. Leanne, for your purposes, do you want us to go through each 5 for each variance? 5
Well,
criteria.
it sounds like the board is in agreement. If you just will go through each variance and just state whether you agree they meet all 5 criteria, if you want to do that rather than, repeat the 5 criteria each time, I think that would be acceptable. If the board agrees, if there's no objection to doing them as a group.
Fine.
Okay, variance number 1, section 2.2, the minimum lot size. I'm in agreement that I guess we can just vote on it. You just want us to vote in favor? This is just a little out of our norm, so I want to make sure
Yeah, you can make a motion on each variance because they are separate variances to be granted if they feel they meet all the criteria, or just make a motion, yeah. For each one.
Okay, then I'll move that we approve variance number 1. Section 2.2.3, minimum lot size.
Righty, Chuck made a motion to approve variance number 1, article 2.2, the standards minimum lot size. To build on a lot with 23,522 square feet where 1 acre is required.
I'll second it.
Seconded? Yeah, I think that it's pretty straightforward. Like we said, with all these same lake houses, they get jammed up, they get tight. I think it meets all 5 criteria. All right, those in favor of variance number 1, aye?
Aye.
That variance passes. Is there a motion for variance number 2?
I'll make a motion to accept the variance number 2.2 standards. Minimum roadside frontage of 150 feet. That variance to allow us to build a current property on a roadside frontage of 106.2, where the requirement is 150 feet.
I'll second it.
Made and seconded. Again, I think it follows the same standard.
Yeah.
The lots down in there are tight. This is a reasonably proposed building here. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Variance number 2 passes. And then variance number 3, any motions?
I'll move variance number 3, section 2.2.1 on the setback to allow a variance of 7.7 on the side setback from the corner of the new garage to the right side of the property where it's a 20-foot is required, and also to allow 18.4 side setback from the platform, the stairs on the side of the property where it's 20 feet.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Brian. Any discussion? Other than, again, I think it meets the same 5 criteria, or the 5 criteria for the same reasons. It's a reasonable proposal. Nothing wild here, and the lake is a tight spot. All right, those in favor of approving variance number 3, vote aye.
Aye.
Variance passes. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
All right, and then the appeal of Mr. Pellerin. I'll read this letter into the record here. This is case 23-14. Town of Tilton Zoning Board. This is dated September 5th of 2023. I purchased this building because it was set up with 2 garage bays.
Matt, before you read that into the record, I think our decision has to be whether or not we made any errors in judgment and not trying to rehear. And by reading that letter, I think you're providing information that was not provided on the application that we made a decision on. And by reading that, I think you're already creating an issue where by why he is explaining why he thinks we should grant an appeal rather than us deciding that we made the right decision the first time.
My understanding on appeals is if they have new evidence that they didn't have at the time they made their case. And that is, they're making a motion to appeal it because they didn't have that evidence at the time, whether they...
In looking at that, however, I would suggest to you that I know what he is saying in that as being a financial hardship, and that is not, that's information he had, but he did not put that on the application when a decision was made. By now claiming that as a financial hardship, that is now changing the scenario with what we voted on.
I don't believe, and correct me if I'm wrong here, that you can use, you'd have to have a pretty significant financial hardship to use that as an argument.
Right, hardship, financial is not a hardship.
Correct. I mean, unless it was absurdly...
Go ahead and read the letter. I don't want to be a blocker on this, but my intention right now is that I don't believe it should be read, okay?
Oh,
It's
okay.
my 2 cents worth, that's all.
I usually default to giving people the opportunity to have their cases heard and their opinions stated. So he's a taxpayer in the town. I'm going to read his case into that. And then I think I'd be out of line if we voted on this and didn't read his stance into the public. I don't know how you feel about that, Brian.
No, and then he still has to come, if we approve to rehear it, he still has to bring the evidence to us.
For sure, right. Yeah. This is just whether we think we want to hear about it or not again. Okay. I purchased this building because it was set up with 2 garage bays with plenty of room inside to work on different things. When I purchased the building, it was already set up to be an automotive shop and still is. I'm organized and well-rounded in the business industry. I'm interested in automotive for my shop foreman, who has without a doubt proved to me he wants to improve the company by expanding into new revenue, which is needed because my landscaping company is seasonal. We struggle over the winter months. If the board denies me the right to run an automotive shop, I'll be forced to buy another building in the area, which would cause me hardship, not only to lose a valuable employees from the move, but also everything invested in this property, along with the visibility I now get from this beautiful location in Tilton. Furthermore, this property will allow equipment repairs along with ATVs and boats. I'm looking for something more simple than that on a smaller scale and less noticeable. Not constructing, building, it's a pre-existing repair shop. This is a reasonable use given the existing building, and per the interpretation of hardship, it's now considered reasonable. Whereas before simplex, hardship existed only when special conditions of the land rendered it uniquely unsuitable for the use which it was zoned. After simplex, hardship exists when special conditions of the land render the use for which the variance is sought reasonable. Signed, Francis Pellerin, and that's the end of it there. So as far as his new evidence and rehearing the case, I don't think he's making I think the hardship case is a piece of it here. I didn't agree with the board when it came to our voting on whether the hardship existed or not. I think that I don't know how you guys feel. I should let you go with your opinion first, I guess. I was the dissenting vote on this, so I will let you guys.
Should he have the same rights, whatever, to put this off because there's only 3 of us?
He's not here to make his case.
Yeah, he's not here to make his case.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I think you have, all I know is what the regulations of the RSA says, that he has 30 days to request an appeal, and you have 30 days to render a decision. So I guess if we look, the best I could do is look at the date on the,
He dated on September 5th.
so this board would have until October 5th per the RSA to respond. So I would say you could, my opinion would be you could continue this until you had a full board, but you would have to have a special meeting and convene prior to or on October 5th to be within the guidelines.
I'm open to whatever you guys think. I err on the side of letting people make their cases, so I'm always more willing to meet again.
Just
In the
one more
defense of
thing
that.
about that though, Matt, just remember, he's not coming to make a case.
Well, no,
Right.
I understand.
Okay,
I understand.
okay. If you continue, it would just be for the full
For the
board.
board to make
to
to
decide.
vote
Right.
on how they feel about
Okay,
this.
just clarification.
Sorry, I apologize. I always err on the side of I always err on the side of making the board do more work in lieu of the people who are coming to us. So I would advocate that we continue it and try to let the whole board hear it, but it's up to you. It's up to you guys too, obviously. If you guys don't want to vote for that,
I personally think we made a decision, and the vote at that time, I believe, was 4-1. And I believe that there is no additional information regardless of what you read, other than it is a financial hardship for him not to be able to repair automobiles. And I don't think anything in that, what you read, changes what was presented to us on the original. And therefore, I do not support continuing. I'd rather make the decision now.
Like, I'm with you. If he wants to come forward and present more evidence, maybe he's got more evidence of this. He's not presenting his case tonight. He's just asking us to, if we want to hear it again.
To Chuck's point, I do think that we were a little hard on the hardship aspect of it. That's the new evidence that he brings in my eyes, not necessarily that that the revenue piece is the argument, that our literal interpretation of hardship is an older view of hardship. Since we talked about this, I can't remember what the case was, but we had the same conversation about how the state has relaxed its definition of hardship. But like I said, I'll entertain a motion for whatever goes here.
I just wish he was here to decide if he wanted to.
Well, he wouldn't be able to say anything tonight.
Oh, he wouldn't be able to say anything tonight? No.
See, that's the whole point, is it really is, did we make a proper decision? What you're
Correct.
reading tonight is what maybe should have been put on the application to begin with, but wasn't.
Mhm.
So theoretically, our decision was made. And now, because you have some sympathy for the gentleman, and I don't blame you, I have sympathy for him too, but I think we made the proper decision at the time.
With the
Based
new
on-
evidence, you
based
still-
on-
yeah.
But that's not, but that would only be brought in during an appeal or after an appeal was granted, and that should not be part of our decision today.
I feel he brings, I mean, we're at a little bit of an impasse. I totally appreciate your opinion. I don't think that we made the correct decision the other evening. I think that we took a too literal interpretation of hardship. I do believe he brings evidence here forward that hardship was too literally interpreted. I agree with you that the financial piece of it is not necessarily it. And then you couple with that I mean, what does it hurt me to come into another night and have the individual make his case again? I mean, if he doesn't present a more reasonable argument, and the next time he shows up, then he gets voted dead. It gets shot down again.
I just don't feel we need to rehear the case. That's what we're starting to do already, rather than just confirming that we did not make an error in our decision previously.
You are correct that we've digressed away from, should we continue this to when the rest of the board is here? That's probably the crux question we should answer first, before we go anywhere else with it. It's tough because I don't know what if Leanne feels this is any new evidence. Well, I would take any motion here.
Or you can make one.
I can. I try not to. All right. I'll make a motion that we continue this. Well, we can't continue it. We'd have to make a special meeting. We can't necessarily make a special meeting without getting a hold of Leanne. We have 2 weeks to come up with it. I'm going to make a motion that we approve rehearing the case in light of the fact that we don't have enough of the board here to fully take the stance on it. And I'm going to default to the taxpayer and allow them a chance to remake their case. And if they don't make their case again, then it will be shot down again.
Again, we're not defaulting to the taxpayer to make a case.
I guess I'd see it differently.
Matt, we have to make a decision to grant an appeal, but he can't come in and make a case for an appeal. He can't speak.
Well, I agree. I believe there is new information here that we should rehear his appeal.
Yes.
We do not have our whole board here in order to, we can't just shut your mic off and quit here. We have it.
Turning my mic off. Thank you.
We don't have our whole board here. I think that we should default on the side of the applicant without having the whole board here.
I second that emotion.
All right. Motion has been made and seconded to to accept the appeal. Is there any further discussion?
You just say to accept the appeal.
Correct.
No, we're not going to grant the appeal.
I think Matt's motion is, if I understand, it's a motion to agree to rehear it. Is that correct?
Yes, that's accepted.
So you're granting an appeal to rehear the case,
Correct.
correct?
That is my
That's the motion on the table.
Accept an appeal to rehear the case,
Yes.
granting an appeal. But you just said to grant an appeal.
I feel like this is semantics here. I am making a motion that we accept his appeal.
To rehear the case.
To rehear the case.
So you want to grant the appeal tonight?
Yes, right? Is that?
To rehear the case.
Right. You're not reversing the decision.
Correct.
You're just agreeing to reopen the case and allow the applicant to come back in and hear the case again. I think that's what you said.
Yes.
That is granting the appeal.
Correct.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. I would like to continue it. That would be what I would prefer, is that the whole board was here to make a stance on it. In lieu of the fact that the whole board is here, I feel defaulting to the applicant and giving them the benefit of the doubt. That's my feeling on it. And I'm not the Lord Commander of this, so be free to be spoken against here. But the motion's been made. Is there any other further discussion on it?
To grant the appeal.
To grant the appeal.
Yeah, and I second it.
Those in favor, vote aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. The only question I don't know the answer to here is, this is,
I don't know if you need 3 to make.
I don't know the answer.
I don't know.
This is a little different than granting something, and I will check the RSA to find out if you need 3 yeses to grant an appeal.
Okay.
Or if a majority will do that, and I don't have that
I don't
answer.
know the answer. Yeah.
And I will get the answer and I will email you so you know whether it'll be reheard or if the appeal was denied.
Okay.
Because if you need 3, then the appeal was denied.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, a motion, will anyone make a motion to table the minutes from the last meeting,
I'll make a motion to table the minutes from our last meeting.
which was August 15th.
August 15th.
I'll second tabling the minutes.
I made and seconded to table it. Probably no discussion on that. Those in favor?
Aye.
We will table that. Is there any other business that we have to take care of? No?
I make a motion to adjourn at 6:55.
All right, motion's been made to adjourn at 6:55. Seconds? Chuck seconds it. Any discussion on adjourning? Those in favor of adjourning, vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, the meeting is adjourned at 6:56.